Africa's leadership landscape is indeed dynamic and diverse, showcasing a range of approaches to governance and development across the continent's resource-rich and ecologically diverse regions. Here's an overview of 10 leaders whose work highlights the variety and ambition in African leadership, spanning different countries, backgrounds, and resources. Africa's leadership landscape is indeed dynamic and diverse, showcasing a range of approaches to governance and development across the continent's resource-rich, and Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's rise to leadership in Egypt reflects a trajectory shaped by both his family background and military education, which have greatly influenced his approach to governance and economic reform. Born in 1954 in Cairo's Gamaleya neighborhood, el-Sisi grew up in a traditional middle-class Egyptian family. His father, a bazaar owner, instilled a sense of discipline and work ethic, which may have influenced el-Sisi's sense of order and commitment to stability. Educational and military foundations. El-Sisi's formative years were defined by his military education, which began at Egypt's military academy and continued with advanced military training in the United Kingdom and the United States. This education exposed him to international military practices and likely informed his approach to both national security and state building. His military background also instilled a loyalty to state structures and a belief in strong governance, a perspective he has carried into his presidency. Economic reform and infrastructure development. Since coming to power in 2014, el-Sisi has focused heavily on economic reforms and ambitious infrastructure projects to modernize Egypt and attract foreign investment. One of his flagship projects, the expansion of the Suez Canal, symbolizes his vision of Egypt as a regional economic hub. The new Suez Canal project was completed in 2015, aiming to boost revenue from the canal by facilitating more efficient global trade routes. This project has become emblematic of el-Sisi's broader economic vision, centering on rapid, large-scale infrastructure development to stimulate growth. Other infrastructure initiatives under his administration include the construction of a new administrative capital east of Cairo, intended to relieve the congestion in Cairo and foster more centralized governance. Beyond physical infrastructure, el-Sisi's government has also undertaken substantial fiscal and monetary reforms, including subsidy cuts and currency devaluation, to improve Egypt's financial stability and make its economy more competitive globally. While these reforms have led to inflation and increased living costs for many Egyptians, they've also secured substantial IMF funding and bolstered Egypt's international investment prospects. Stability versus political freedoms. El-Sisi's emphasis on stability has undeniably provided Egypt with a degree of security after the turmoil following the 2011 revolution. His government's approach has restored a sense of order, creating a more predictable environment that is attractive to investors and critical for economic growth. However, this focus on stability has come at the cost of political freedoms, with significant restrictions placed on civil society, media, and political opposition. His administration has faced criticism from both domestic and international observers for curbing dissent and limiting freedom of expression under the guise of security. Balancing act, economic ambition, and social constraints. El-Sisi's leadership reflects a balancing act between modernization and strict governance, driven by his military background and commitment to state stability. While his economic policies have accelerated Egypt's growth, they have also heightened challenges for ordinary Egyptians. As he navigates his second decade in office, el-Sisi's ability to maintain this balance will determine the sustainability of his reforms and his legacy in modern Egyptian history. Ecologically diverse regions. Here's Paul Kagame, Rwanda Focus, Tech and Innovation-Driven Governance. Kagame has transformed Rwanda into a regional tech hub, focusing on digital governance, smart city development, and tourism. His emphasis on security and infrastructure has made Rwanda one of the fastest-growing economies in Africa. Cyril Ramaphosa, South Africa. Focus, economic reform and anti-corruption. Ramaphosa has prioritized structural economic reforms to revitalize South Africa's economy. His administration tackles corruption through legal reforms and initiatives to attract foreign investment. Uhuru Kenyatta, Kenya. Focus, infrastructure and economic integration. Under Kenyatta, Kenya invested heavily in infrastructure, such as the Standard Gauge Railway. He's also played a key role in the East African community's economic integration, fostering regional trade. Focus, industrialization and digital transformation. Known for his efforts to reduce Ghana's dependency on raw exports, he has pushed for industrialization through initiatives like One District, One Factory. His government also champions digitalization to improve public services. Yoweri Museveni, Uganda. Focus, infrastructure development and energy production. Museveni's focus has been on energy and infrastructure, particularly hydropower and oil resources, to reduce Uganda's energy costs and boost industrialization.